Hi and welcome, Murdock's Music Minute, the European and slightly reserved channel, reviewing albums, artists and discographies with a thick accent. Are you ready for some more Ultravox? Probably not, after my previous video about their release Quartet, but I'll do it anyway, because as a music fan living in Vienna, it is practically inevitable to touch this album at one point, so why not now? I am talking about the album that Ultravox are best known for and that strangely references this city, 1980s Vienna. Ultravox started around 1974 as a fairly artsy and adventurous project led by arts college student John Fox in London. The group went through several name changes until agreeing on the futuristic-sounding Ultravox. Their self-titled debut album combined elements of art and glam rock, most notably Roxy music, with influences from experimental krautrock. It didn't leave a particular mark, as did both following albums, the more punk-influenced Ha 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 and the final release with John Fox, Systems of Romance in 1979, an album that since has gained a cult reputation. The early music of Ultravox was commercially not exploitable, but proved to be a huge influence on other musicians. Especially the more electronic tracks scattered across the albums proved to be an important milestone in the development of new wave. When charismatic frontman John Fox left the group in '79, critics counted on a successful solo career for him and deemed Ultravox finished. Yet while Fox would remain an experimental artist, mostly recognized by critics, Ultravox regrouped with new singer and guitarist, the Scot Mitch Ure. Both he and Ultravox keyboard player Billy Currie were, in parallel to Ultravox, part of the new Romantics project Visage, best known for the hit single Fade to Grey. Ure before had played with a teen pop band and had first mainstream experience. While at the core, Ultravox kept its mixture of arty glam, electronic sounds a la Kraftwerk and punk, the sound now should become more radio-friendly. With everyone developing new material together, their fourth studio album, the first with Ure's powerful tenor voice, was to become a turning point in their career. The 80s were about to begin. So, today's album... Wait. Something's not right with the lighting. Give me a second. Ah, that's more like it. So, Vienna, released in 1980, but didn't really take off until 1981, when the album's title track was released as a single. The rebooted Ultravox don't storm through the front door with this album, but rather land slowly from outer space with the opening track Astrodyne, which is a 7-minute instrumental. So listeners were really held in suspense until they could hear the new singer Mitch Ure for the first time. Astrodyne is dominated by synth soundscapes and the viola of Billy Currie. It is a quite electronic track, clearly inspired by early electronic krautrock acts, a really beautiful opening track. It's no surprise that the band turned to Conny Plank, real name Konrad, as the producer for this album. Plank had made a name as a producer for experimental krautrock in the early 1970s, and by the late 1970s had become the first address for post-punk and new wave acts. After the cosmic introduction by Astrodyne, the next track, New Europeans, starts with brash guitars, introducing Ultravox's soon typical style of anthemic rock, a little bit of punk and electronic new wave. Mitch Ure delivers a yearning, melodramatic performance, and listeners certainly at this point realized that Ultravox had become a lot catchier and more accessible. This song takes a melancholic look at modern life in Europe. Song number 3, Private Lives, begins with tasty piano or keyboard playing and then continues in the wave rock vein of New Europeans. But it has an artier edge to it, stylistically getting back to the predecessor album Systems of Romance. I think what I like best about this song are the quirky keyboard parts. Next up is Passing Strangers. This one has got a melodramatic, slightly desperate atmosphere that would dominate Ultravox's sound in the Mitch Ure years. Again, there's a nice synth solo, making the song sound like something Gary Newman would do at the same time, but maybe delivered with a little bit more human warmth. Sleepwalk is a great track. It has a frantic tempo combining punk with angular new wave. It is both catchy and a little bit dark. And I've always found it interesting that such an uptempo number closes side 1. This cut was also chosen as the first new single by Ultravox after reforming, and marked the first minor hit for the band in the UK. Side 2 starts with Mr. X, an electronic, eerie tale about a mysterious stranger. This track has spoken vocals that are handled by drummer Warren Cann. Mr. X is an atmospheric, cold, new romantic or new wave song that openly shows its influence from acts like Kraftwerk. Western Promise follows. This song has a vaguely Asian, almost fusion-style intro that really takes its time. The actual song then is a warning to the supposedly mystical and noble East that Western values, read capitalism, will destroy it. The band Ecstasy, for example, had a similar sentiment in their 1979 track Millions. Western Promise elegantly segues into the title track Vienna. For many, this is Ultravox's most important moment. This song is all cold, giving me a cold, as you may have noticed from my voice, sparse, ambitious and over the top, all packed into 4 minutes of synth pop. The song overshadows the rest of the album and simultaneously blends in quite well with the rest of the material. The song's title and lyrics are allegedly based on a misunderstanding on Mitch Ure's side, who wrote the lyrics. So originally, the song Vienna was never meant to include the word or be about Vienna. The story of a brief but cool-off love affair is delivered in a distanced yet melodramatic and anthemic way, including a grand piano and viola solo. And this is all embedded in a strict new romantic electronic arrangement. A song that is dated and timeless, it became Ultravox's biggest hit and of course reached the Austrian top 10.
The image is gonna make you
Parts of the video clip famously were shot during a very short stay of the band members in Vienna. I think they used parts of the outside of Vienna's opera and possibly the main building of the Viennese University, which has a grand, very impressive 19th century staircase. And definitely and most famously, a lot of parts of the video were shot at Vienna's central cemetery with its morbid atmosphere and gravestones of famous persons. In fact, I briefly thought about shooting parts of this video at the central cemetery, but yeah, even though it is a sort of tourist attraction, it still is mainly a cemetery, and it might have looked a little bit strange, me walking around the central cemetery doing a YouTube video. Now, this song certainly earned its place in the pantheon of synth-pop classics. And we've reached the final cut of the album, which is All Stood Still. It lets the album Vienna end on a more up-tempo, energetic note. And arguably, this one is almost an antithesis to the title track, with a clear punk basis, power chords, an electric guitar solo, and pretty cool, chaotic sound effects. This song is quite infectious, actually, and it seems to depict either an electricity blackout or maybe a nuclear meltdown.
We stood still. We all stood still. Still stood still. We're standing still.
Again, I wouldn't have expected both sides of the album to end with more punky tracks. Conclusively, this is a fine album. It encompasses everything one would associate with an early 80s new wave sound. As is usual with Ultravox in the mature years, the music is not without substance, but opts for a very glossy surface and some artsy decoration that may be seen as pretentious. I like this album, however, for what it is, and for me, this is actually the best Ultravox album, which admittedly is not a very creative choice, because Vienna usually is referred to as their best album. But hey, what can you do? So give it a try, even if you are skeptical of synth pop. You either will remain a skeptic, or you will find a little gem for your 1980s section in your music collection. And yes, everybody should have a 1980s section. That being said, thanks for listening to my rather short voice, and see you again in another video. And this time around, I will say goodbye in true Viennese fashion. Servus, Baba.